Welcome back to BrainFuel Reads. This is Read It All, our series for those who don't just want the highlights. They want the whole book experience. Page by page, chapter by chapter, we'll guide you through the book in detail, staying as faithful as possible to the author's words and ideas. Think of it as reading the book yourself, but with the flow of an audio journey. Today, we're diving into a book that goes beyond quick tips or hacks. It's a roadmap for transforming your life from the inside out. The book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. And the main idea? True effectiveness doesn't come from fleeting motivation, luck, or shortcuts. It comes from building strong character, living intentionally, and aligning your actions with timeless principles. Covey's insights aren't just theoretical. He studied leaders, successful people, and human behavior across decades. He understood that real success in work, relationships, and personal growth comes from cultivating habits that are universal, reliable, and sustainable. So, let's start with the big question. What does it really mean to be effective, and how can 7 simple, powerful habits change the way you live your life? Part 1, Paradigms and Principles, Inside-Out Approach. Have you ever had the feeling that, despite working harder, running faster, and trying more strategies, you're still not really getting ahead in life? Maybe you've chased success at work, only to find your family life quietly falling apart. Or you've checked off every productivity trick in the book, yet deep down you still feel restless and unfulfilled. Stephen Covey begins The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People with a simple but profound truth. Real change doesn't start on the outside. It starts from within. Covey calls this the inside-out approach. Instead of focusing on quick fixes, clever techniques, or how to manipulate others into liking us, he argues that true effectiveness grows out of something deeper, our character. Let's start with a story Covey shares. One day, he and his wife were worried about their young son. The boy struggled in school, had little confidence, and was often laughed at in sports. Covey and his wife tried everything: encouragement, motivation, even defending him from others' criticism. But nothing worked. Then Covey realized something uncomfortable. Deep down, he and his wife saw their son as inadequate. Every word of encouragement carried the hidden message: "You're not enough, so we need to help you." And the boy felt it. The breakthrough came when they shifted their paradigm, the lens through which they saw him. Instead of treating him as broken, they began to see him as capable, unique, and worthy in his own right. As their perception changed, so did their son. Over time, he flourished. Academically, socially, and even athletically. This is the heart of the book. The way we see the problem is the problem. If we want lasting effectiveness, we must change not just our behavior, but our fundamental paradigms, our mental maps of the world. The personality ethic, which focuses on image, techniques, and external fixes. The character ethic, which focuses on integrity, humility, courage, patience, and principles that don't change. It's easy to see why the personality ethic is tempting. It offers quick wins, easy formulas, and shortcuts. But just like trying to cram for a harvest without planting seeds, it doesn't last. True growth requires the character ethic, working on ourselves from the inside out. Covey illustrates this with a powerful image. Imagine you're in Chicago with a map, but it's actually a map of Detroit. No matter how hard you try, whether you work harder or adopt a positive attitude, you'll never get to your destination. The problem isn't your effort or your mindset. The problem is the map. Our paradigms are those maps. If they're wrong, our results will always be off. But if we align them with timeless principles like fairness, integrity, service, and growth, we can live more effective, fulfilling lives. So before introducing the 7 habits, Covey gives us a challenge. Are you willing to look inward, to shift your lens, to build your life not on quick fixes, but on timeless principles? That's where our journey begins. Part 2, Private Victory. Habit 1, be proactive. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. Cars are honking, time is slipping away, and you feel that familiar wave of frustration rising. At that moment, most of us react automatically. We blame the traffic, the weather, maybe even ourselves for not leaving earlier. But Stephen Covey challenges us with a radical idea. Between what happens to us and how we respond, there is a space. And in that space lies our greatest power, the power to choose. This is the essence of habit. 1. Be proactive. It means taking responsibility for your life, rather than being driven by circumstances, moods, or conditions. Contrasts two types of people, reactive and proactive. And reactive people say things like, "That's just the way I am," or "I can't help it, it's my boss, my family, my past." Their emotions rise and fall depending on the weather, how people treat them, or the latest crisis. Proactive people, on the other hand, recognize that their behavior is a product of their own conscious choice, based on values, not moods, not external conditions. Despite unthinkable suffering, Frankl discovered that even when everything else is stripped away, freedom, possessions, dignity, one freedom remains, the freedom to choose one's attitude. Frankl realized the guards could control his body, but not his inner response. That insight became his source of strength, and it's a lesson that echoes through Covey's teaching: we are not prisoners of our circumstances, we are authors of our response. Covey introduces the idea of the circle of concern and the circle of influence. The circle of concern includes all the things we care about but can't directly control: global events, the economy, other people's choices. The circle of influence includes the things we can control: our actions, our words, our attitudes. Reactive people focus on the circle of concern. They complain, blame, and waste energy on what they can't change. Proactive people focus on the circle of influence. By doing so, their influence actually grows. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're in a difficult relationship. A reactive mindset might say, if only they would change, things would be better. But a proactive mindset asks, what can I do? What words, actions, or attitudes can I change to improve this relationship? It doesn't mean you control everything, but it does mean you control the one thing that matters most, yourself. Covey puts it beautifully. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Think about your own life for a moment. Where have you been reactive, blaming conditions, people, or luck? And what would it look like if you stepped into the driver's seat, accepted responsibility, and chose a proactive path instead? Habit 1 is the foundation of all the other habits, because until we realize we are responsible for our choices, no other change can truly begin. So here's the takeaway. Don't wait for life to happen to you. Don't let moods dictate your behavior. Don't give away your power by saying, I can't. Instead, pause. Find the space between stimulus and response. And remember, in that space, you hold the power to choose. That's what it means to be proactive. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Picture this, you're at a funeral. The room is filled with friends, family, colleagues. You walk up to the front to see who's being remembered, only to realize it's you. Stephen Covey begins Habit 2 with this striking thought. He asks us to imagine our own funeral and to consider, what would you want people to say about you? Not about your job title or your possessions, but about the kind of parent, spouse, friend, or leader you were. This exercise isn't meant to be morbid. It's meant to shift our focus. Too often, we live caught in the rush of daily tasks, reacting to whatever comes our way. Habit 2 calls us to step back and ask, what is my ultimate destination? What kind of life do I want to create? Covey says it simply, all things are created twice. First, in the mind as a vision. Second, in reality as a result. Think of a house. Before construction begins, there's a blueprint. Without it, the builders would waste time, energy, and materials. In the same way, if we don't have a clear picture of the life we want, we may climb the ladder of success, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. Habit 2 invites us to create that blueprint by defining our values and our purpose. It's about writing our personal mission statement. This isn't just a set of goals, it's a guiding compass that keeps us aligned when distractions, pressures, and choices come. Covey gives examples of people who lived with that clarity. He describes leaders, parents, and even organizations that succeeded not because they reacted well in the moment, but because they had a clear sense of who they were and what they stood for. Here's a simple example. Imagine two professionals. One spends years chasing promotions, money, and recognition. The other is guided by a mission statement to empower others through teaching and kindness. Both may achieve success, but the second has a deeper anchor. When challenges come, when hard choices appear, their direction is clear. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need anyone's permission to define your mission. It starts by asking, what really matters to me? What legacy do I want to leave? About designing your days in light of your values, not drifting with the currents of circumstance. So let's return to that funeral image. If you want to be remembered as a loving parent, then live today in a way that nurtures your children. If you want to be known as a leader of integrity, then make decisions today that reflect honesty, even when no one's watching. If you want to leave a mark of kindness, then begin right now with the people around you. Because in the end, life isn't about speed, it's about direction. And direction comes when we begin with the end in mind. Habit 3, put first things first. Imagine your life as a glass jar. Beside it, you have 3 piles, big rocks, small pebbles, and sand. The rocks represent your most important things: family, health, personal growth, meaningful work. The pebbles are lesser commitments. The sand, all the little distractions that fill your day. Now, if you pour the sand in first, then the pebbles, you'll never have space for the rocks. But if you start with the big rocks, then pour in the pebbles and sand. Everything fits. That's the heart of habit 3. Put first things first. If habit 2, begin with the end in mind, is about knowing your destination, habit 3 is about walking toward it every day. It's about discipline, doing what matters most, not what's most urgent. Covey explains this through his famous time management matrix. He divides tasks into 4 quadrants. 1. Urgent and important. Crises, deadlines, emergencies. 2. Not urgent but important. Planning, relationships, personal growth, prevention. 3. Urgent but not important. Interruptions, phone calls, other people's minor demands. And not important, scrolling social media, trivial. Most people live in quadrants 1 and 3, constantly firefighting, reacting to what screams the loudest. But highly effective people focus on quadrant 2, the things that are important but not urgent. Building relationships, exercising, learning, planning, preventing problems before they happen. Covey once gave a seminar where he filled a jar with sand and pebbles, leaving no room for big rocks. Then he asked the audience, "Is the jar full?" They said yes. But then he emptied it and put the big rocks in first: family, health, purpose. Then the pebbles. Finally, the sand trickled in, filling the gaps. Everything fit. The lesson? If you don't prioritize the important things first, they'll never fit later. Think about your own life. Do you schedule time with your loved ones, or just hope it fits around work? Do you invest in your health now, or wait for a crisis to force you? Do you set aside time for learning and growth, or only react when opportunities pass you by? Habit 3 challenges us to move from being driven by urgency to being guided by importance. It requires courage, the courage to say no to distractions, so we can say yes to what matters most. Covey says, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. So take a moment. What are the big rocks in your life? And are they going into the jar first, or are they being crowded out by sand? Putting first things first isn't about time management. It's about life management. About living each day in alignment with your values, so when the years pass, you've built not just a busy life, but a meaningful one. Part 3, Public Victory. Habit 4, Think Win-Win. Picture a business deal. Two companies sit across a table. One negotiator is laser-focused on squeezing every penny from the other side. The other is doing the same. At the end, one might win, but the relationship is left scarred, distrust lingers, and future collaboration feels unlikely. Now imagine a different scenario. Both sides sit down, but instead of asking, "How can I get the most?" they ask, "How can we both win? How can we create an agreement that leaves us stronger together than apart?" That's the essence of Habit 4, Think Win-Win. Covey teaches that in every human interaction, there are 6 possible outcomes. Win, lose, I get what I want, you don't. Lose, win, you get what you want, I don't. Lose, lose. If I can't win, neither will you. In a world that often glorifies competition, win-lose thinking feels natural. But Covey points out, in families, friendships, marriages, and teams, win-lose always leaves wounds. Here's a story Covey shares. A father and son were clashing about grades. The father demanded better performance, threatening punishments. The son resisted, feeling controlled. Both were stuck in a win-lose battle. Finally, the father shifted. Instead of dictating terms, he sat down and worked with his son to create a win-win agreement, clear expectations, shared goals, and mutual accountability. The son felt trusted, the father felt respected, and their relationship grew stronger. Win-win isn't about being nice or avoiding conflict. It's about courage and consideration, having the strength to pursue your own goals while also caring deeply about the other person's goals. Covey calls this the abundance mentality. It's the belief that life isn't a zero-sum game, that there's enough success, recognition, love, and opportunity to go around. Reactive people operate from scarcity. If you win, I lose. Proactive people, however, see collaboration as a multiplier. If we both win, we both gain more than we ever could alone. Think of partnerships, friendships, even marriages. How often do arguments come from win-lose thinking, trying to prove we're right to get the last word to come out on top? But when we pause and aim for win-win, we change the question. It's no longer who's right, but what's right for both of us. So, what does this look like in practice? In business, negotiating. Contracts that build trust and long-term relationships. In family, creating agreements with children that foster responsibility and respect. In friendships, celebrating each other's victories instead of feeling threatened by them. Covey says, win-win is not a technique. It's a total philosophy of human interaction. It requires a mindset shift, away from competition and scarcity, toward cooperation and abundance. So here's the challenge. The next time you face a conflict, don't ask, "How do I win?" Ask, "How do we both win?" Because when both sides walk away stronger, that's not just a victory. It's the beginning of trust, synergy, and lasting effectiveness. That's Habit 4, Think Win-Win. Habit 5, Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Imagine this. A teenager comes home from school, clearly upset. He mutters, "I hate school. I'm never going back." The parent, alarmed, immediately jumps in. "Don't be ridiculous. Education is important. You just need to try harder, study more, focus." But notice what happened here. The parent never actually listened. They rushed to give advice, to fix, to talk. And in doing so, they missed the chance to connect. This is what Stephen Covey calls the listen to reply trap. Most of us don't truly listen. We listen with the intent to respond. We filter everything through our own lens, preparing our answer, our advice, our story. Habit 5 invites us to practice something much deeper, empathetic listening. It means listening not just with the ears, but with the heart. Listening to understand the feelings, the meaning, the world as the other person sees it. Covey tells a story about a man who said, "I can't communicate with my son. He won't listen to me." Covey replied, "If your son won't listen, then communication isn't happening. You're only sending, not receiving. Communication means understanding, and that starts with you listening first." It's the same in business. Imagine a sales professional pitching hard to a client without ever asking about their needs. Even the best product will fall flat if the client doesn't feel heard. But if the salesperson takes time to truly understand the client's pain points, the solution almost sells itself. Covey compares it to going to the eye doctor. Imagine if the doctor listened to you describe your blurry vision, then immediately handed you his own glasses. "These worked for me, they'll work for you." Ridiculous, right? Yet that's exactly what we do when we offer advice before understanding the other person's situation. Empathetic listening changes everything. When people feel deeply understood, they relax their defenses. Trust builds, and only then are they open to hearing your perspective. The second part of this habit, then to be understood, is equally important. Once you've listened, once you've truly understood, then you can share your perspective clearly and with respect. At that point, communication becomes two-way. Think about your own relationships, at home, at work, with friends. How often are conflicts fueled not by malice, but by misunderstanding, by people talking past each other instead of pausing to really listen? Covey sums it up simply: seek first to understand, then to be understood, because when you give someone the gift of being heard, you open the door to influence, trust, and solutions that neither of you could reach alone. So next time you're in a conversation, try this experiment. Pause your urge to reply. Don't interrupt. Don't plan your answer. Just listen. Really listen. Step into their shoes. Feel what they feel. Not only will you understand them better, they'll be far more willing to understand you. That's the power of Habit 5. Habit 6, Synergize. Imagine listening to a beautiful symphony. The violins, drums, piano, and flutes all play different notes. Alone, each instrument is fine, but together they create something powerful, something that no single instrument could achieve by itself. That's what Stephen Covey means by synergy. Habit 6 is about valuing differences, building on strengths, and creating results greater than the sum of their parts. Covey defines synergy simply: 1 + 1 = 3, or more. It's that magical effect that happens when people collaborate openly and respectfully. It's not compromise, where both sides give something up. And it's not conformity, where everyone agrees just to keep the peace. Instead, it's about creating a third alternative, a better solution that neither side could have come up with alone. Here's a story Covey shares. He once worked with a company where management and employees were at odds. Each side felt the other was selfish and untrustworthy. Normally, such tension would lead to compromise, split the difference, make everyone equally unhappy. But instead, they worked through habits 4 and 5 first, seeking win-win solutions and really listening to understand each other. Finally, when they reached habit 6, something clicked. New ideas surfaced, creative solutions emerged, and they found strategies that both sides felt excited about. That's synergy. Think of it like this: if two people have the same opinion, one of them isn't needed. Real growth comes from differences, different perspectives, strengths, and experiences. But here's the challenge. Most of us fear differences. We avoid conflict, we distrust other viewpoints, or we push our own agenda. Synergy requires humility, the willingness to say, maybe I don't have the full picture. Maybe together we can find something better. It shows up in families, too. A child wants independence, a parent wants safety. Instead of fighting, synergy asks, what solution could give both responsibility and security? Often, the result is far more creative than either side imagined. Covey believed synergy is the highest level of communication and cooperation. It builds on all the earlier habits: being proactive, having vision, prioritizing, thinking win-win, and listening with empathy. Without those, synergy can't happen. But with them, it unlocks creativity, innovation, and unity. So here's the takeaway. Don't fear differences. Don't rush to compromise. Instead, value diversity, listen deeply, and search for the third alternative, the solution that neither side could have discovered alone. Because when people truly synergize, they don't just solve problems, they create breakthroughs. That's Habit 6, Synergize. Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw. Imagine a lumberjack drenched in perspiration deep in the heart of the forest, tirelessly working to fell a towering tree. Hours tick by as he saws, yet the blade grows duller with each stroke. A passerby stops and suggests, "Why don't you take a moment to sharpen your saw?" Frustration washes over the lumberjack as he replies, "I don't have time for that. I'm too busy sawing." It may seem ludicrous, but haven't we all found ourselves in similar situations? We push harder, work longer, and race faster, all while neglecting the most critical element of our success, ourselves. This brings us to the essence of Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw. This habit is about preserving and enhancing your most valuable asset, you. Stephen Covey identifies 4 vital dimensions of renewal that we must attend to. First, there's the physical dimension, which calls for nurturing our bodies through exercise, balanced nutrition, and adequate rest. If we ignore our health, no amount of success can replace the vitality and energy we lose. Next is the mental dimension, which encourages us to expand our minds through reading, learning, and engaging in creativity. The world is ever evolving, and to stay sharp, we must commit to continuous growth. Then we have the social-emotional aspect, which emphasizes the importance of cultivating meaningful relationships and practicing empathy, service, and trust. True happiness, as we know, is deeply rooted in our connections with others. Finally, we reach the spiritual dimension, the realm of our deepest values, purpose, and inner peace. Whether through meditation, prayer, or time spent in nature, it's essential to reconnect with what truly matters to us. Covey warns that neglecting any of these dimensions can lead to imbalance. You might be physically fit yet emotionally drained, or intellectually stimulated but spiritually unfulfilled. True renewal requires attention to all 4 areas. Now let's make this personal. Consider the last time you felt completely burned out. Perhaps you found yourself overworked, skipping exercise, depriving yourself of sleep, and too busy to connect. Small challenges seemed insurmountable during this time. Now, contrast that with a moment when you felt well-rested, connected, and inspired. The difference is as striking as night and day. Sharpening the saw isn't an act of selfishness, rather. It's a necessary investment in ourselves that allows us to show up more fully for others. A parent who prioritizes self-care can offer deeper patience and understanding to their children, while a leader who takes the time to reflect can make wiser, more insightful decisions for their team. If we neglect renewal, we risk embodying the lifestyle of that lumberjack, busy, exhausted, and ineffective. Yet when we prioritize our own renewal, we amplify our effectiveness in every aspect of our lives. So, what might sharpening the saw look like for you today? Perhaps it's stepping outside for a refreshing walk instead of being glued to your desk for another hour. Maybe it's curling up with a good book, journaling your thoughts, or reaching out to someone you love. It could even be as simple as pausing to breathe deeply and reconnect with your core values. Habit 7 reminds us that effectiveness isn't solely about working harder. It's about working smarter by taking care of the most crucial tool we have, ourselves. That's the essence of Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw. And that brings us to the end of our full journey through the 7 habits of highly effective people. I hope you found this deep dive both practical and inspiring, something you can carry with you into your daily life. This video is part of our Read It All series here on BrainFuel Reads, where we don't just skim the highlights, but take you through a book chapter by chapter, cover to cover, so you get the complete wisdom as the author intended. If you enjoyed this summary and want more full-length book explorations, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a future episode. And remember, learning never stops, and growth comes from feeding your mind with the right fuel. As always, keep your brain fueled.